Harry's Wife, Part 100.14, Pants on Fire. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Earlier, I provided you with the video whereby Harry's wife claimed that at a 2019 premiere of The Lion King, a member of the cast claimed that he and people around him had rejoiced at news of her marriage into the royal family in the same way that they rejoiced when Nelson Mandela was freed from prison. This comparison was met with near universal scorn, derision, and disbelief. Unsurprisingly, more information has come to light. But let's first of all revisit the extract from Harry's wife's interview in The Cut, which is increasingly really more likely to be named The Cunt, where she states, she, Harry's wife, recalls a moment from the 2019 London premiere of the live-action version of The Lion King. I just had Archie. It was such a cruel chapter. I was scared to go out. A cast member from South Africa pulled her aside. He looked at me, and just like light, he said, I just need you to know, when you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets the same we did when Mandela was freed from prison. Of course, she knows she's no Mandela, but perhaps even telling me this story is a mode of defence, because if you are a symbol for all that is good and charitable, how can anybody find you objectionable? How can anybody hate you? Accordingly, I explained that the use of this anecdote by Harry's wife was bringing up the past in order to triangulate the interviewer with this recollection, and also to assert control over the readership. I express my considerable doubt that this actually ever happened, and that it was the deluded response of Harry's wife, whereby her sense of self-importance and her grandiosity compelled her to believe that she's just as important a figure as Nelson Mandela. And in the way that I explained earlier, how she believes that every little girl wants to be a princess like her, and that every man wants to make the beast with two backs with her, she clearly believes that she is on a par with Nelson Mandela, and that an entire country would come out in jubilation upon hearing of her marriage to the Prince of Pink Pancakes, and rejoice, oh rejoice, sweet, sweet rejoicing, in the same way as they did when Nelson Mandela was freed. It's absolutely laden with her narcissism. But lo, what is this we see on yon horizon? Aha! It is but evidence, courtesy of the Mail Online. And in an article by Shekhar Bhatia and Martin Robinson, we're told the following. Mystery over Harry's wife's Nelson Mandela claims, as actor who says he's the only South African in Lion King live-action film insists he never met Duchess after bombshell interview claimed cast member compared her wedding to Leader's release. An acclaimed actor, the Daily Mail tells us, and friend of Nelson Mandela, today told Mail Online he is baffled by the Duchess of Sussex's suggestion that his country had rejoiced when she married Prince Harry, and revealed he has never met her, despite claiming to be the only South African member of the cast in Disney's recent remake of The Lion King. Dr. John Carney believes the Duchess of Sussex has made a faux pas. Let's call it what it is. She lied. The pants are on fire, liar, liar, after she used a US magazine interview to imply, well, she didn't imply it, she stated it was the case. Her 2018 royal wedding sparked celebrations in South Africa reminiscent of the release of his friend, the legendary anti-apartheid leader. He said Mr. Mandela's walk to freedom after 27 years was a landmark moment, while her marriage to Prince Harry was no big deal ooh in South Africa, adding that the two events cannot be spoken in the same breath. And you can't really say where you were when Harry's wife married Harry. The bombshell interview in the cut suggested Harry's wife had been told the opposite by a male South African cast member at the London premiere of The Lion King live action film held in 2019. It reported the Duchess as saying, "He looked at me, and he's just like light. He said, 'I just need you to know, when you married into this family, we rejoiced in the streets, the same we did when Mandela was freed from prison.'" But Dr. Carney, a veteran of the Royal Shakespeare Company, who voiced the mandrill shaman Rafiki, told Mail Online that he was the only South African in the Disney movie, has never met Harry's wife, and was not at the UK premiere. He said the only other South African who was involved was Lebo M, a composer who, together with Hans Zimmer, was responsible for the music for The Lion King. But Lebo M was not in the cast. Sitting under a portrait of his friend Mr. Mandela at his Johannesburg home, he said, "I have never met Harry's wife. This seems like something of a faux pas by her. I have never met the Duchess at all. I am the only South African member of the cast, and I did not attend the premiere in London. I went to Hollywood as we opened there, and from there I had to go immediately to Paris, where I was shooting a film sequel, so I couldn't hang around. The only South African was me playing Rafiki, but I did go to the opening in Leicester Square, as I didn't have the time to do that. It just may be a misremembering on her side. Rather generous of him. It is baffling me. I'm the only South African in the cast. I play Rafiki, Seth Rogen plays Pumbaa, Donald Glover plays Simba, and Beyoncé plays Nala." The actor insisted that Harry and Harry's wife's nuptials were no big deal in his country, adding, "I cannot even tell you now what month she married or what year." Dr. Carney said he did not believe that the people of South Africa celebrated Harry's wife's marriage to Prince Harry on the scale that greeted the release of anti-apartheid campaigner Nelson Mandela, as claimed by her. He said, "In my memory, nobody would have known when she got married, when or what. We had no South African link to the wedding or to her marrying Harry." He said, "I'm truly surprised by this. For me, it is a non-event, the whole thing." Mail Online has approached the Sussexes and Disney about the claims. The cut declined to comment. The Mail Online then continues by explaining the comparison and explaining what happened in February 11th, 1990, when Nelson Mandela was freed. The world stopped in February 11th, 1990. The entire country and most of the people born in the 70s didn't know what Mr. Mandela looked like. When the gates of Pollsmoor prison opened, the entire South African nation, the entire African continent and the world were glued. We only realised that he, Mr. Mandela, was the one walking next to Winnie, his wife at the time, when he raised his hand and we said, "Oh, that's him," because none of us had seen him since 1964. That was a world event. Surely Miss Harry's wife, or whatever, marrying into royalty cannot in any way be spoken in the same breath, or even the same sentence as that moment. It lives in our memories forever to the world. It is a kind of, where were you when JFK was shot? Where were you when Nelson Mandela was released? You can't really say where you were when Harry's wife married Harry. I'm confused about this. She is an important person in her own life. But there are various opinions all over the world about them severing their ties with the royal family, and Harry not being able to serve and do his normal duties, and then moving to America, and the interviews with Oprah Winfrey and all that. We've been following that story with interest, really, but that's all. But beyond that, I don't know her, never met her, and wasn't in London, and I'm the only South African actor in The Lion King. Mr. Carney, who directed programme for Mr. Mandela, said he didn't believe Harry's wife's self-comparison to Mr. Mandela was an insult to South Africa. There were so many people that came to South Africa who just wanted to meet with Nelson Mandela. At one stage, we were so bored about it that we wanted to do a Mandela cardboard cutout so they could take a picture with the cardboard cutout. Mr. Mandela was an enigma to South Africa, and he was an elder. There was that added cultural dimension in meeting with him. You knew you were meeting an elder more as a father than as a president. We used to call him Dada, which means daddy. I really wouldn't want to call it an insult. It must be faux pas. There is something Harry's wife is mixing up with. And then the article talks about Nelson Mandela's grandson expressing his irritation at Harry's wife's claims. Well, this article clearly shows, as we suspected, that it didn't happen, and this is another lie from Harry's wife. It's unsurprising. In order to assert control over the interviewer and the readers, her narcissism causes her to revise the past by completely making something up. She is so deluded that she believes that she is as important as Nelson Mandela. She's so deluded, she believes that an entire nation would all be cheering in the same manner for her when she got married to Prince Harry as they were when Nelson Mandela was released. It's clear that Dr. John Carney is a reasonable man, and he has just stated the case that he never met her, this was never said, it simply didn't happen, and he's rather generous in suggesting that perhaps she's misremembering. It isn't. It's her narcissism making her lie. Of course, Harry's wife will ignore the fact that yet more evidence has been unearthed demonstrating that she tells porcupines, that pigs will fly when she starts to tell the truth, and, of course, that those pants remain on fire. Undoubtedly, this will come to her attention. She probably won't comment about it, and instead will stay in a position of ignoring it, and thus assert control in that manner, dismissing it, and moving on to the next thing. Typical of the way that her narcissism functions for her. Once again, of course, though, it is clearly indicative of her mid-range narcissism. A calculating narcissist simply wouldn't have fucked up in this way, and those that continue to believe that she plans and plots and thinks ahead with regard to each and every manipulation that she engages in, you are incorrect. The fact is, she makes these schoolgirl errors again and again and again. Gaff after gaff after gaff. She says something because it enables her to assert control in that moment, draw fuel in that moment, gain the character traits and residual benefits in that moment. But her lies are becoming increasingly larger and easier to demonstrate as being lies. And within a matter of moments of this revelation coming from the cut, this gentleman comes forward and basically confirms what she's saying is a load of horse shit. She's been demonstrated to have told another lie, and it's happened quickly. Another collateral consequence of her mid-range narcissism. But what do the good burgers of the Daily Mail Online have to say about all of these shenanigans as yet another lie of Harry's wife has been uncovered? Well, it's always worth diving in just to spend a moment or two wading through it to see what is being stated. And we have Toastville stating, hilarious. It just gets cringier by the day. Pift states, love it. Someone else outing her truth. Does anyone out there have a bigger shovel? A Z-list actress may be needing it. Miss T12, I really think the royal family are giving her enough rope and letting her ruin herself. Precisely what I tell you with regard to lesser and mid-range narcissists. Watch my highly useful video, Give the Narcissist Enough Rope. Miss T12 talks about this. It's beautiful to watch it all unfold, especially now so many people are questioning, debunking everything she says. Gary1618, after the backlash from the Opera interview and the podcast and now the cut article, can we believe in anything she says? Poppet99, ha ha ha, she got caught out big time. Patty, more twists than a corkscrew. Grays, lol, this is just bizarre. Katie, so more recollections that vary. Andrew666, by not removing their titles, the royal family is weakening the institution of monarchy. Lizzie, as some might say, accounts may vary, seems to be a regular problem. We need real news, whatever she is smoking, I want some. Somebody comments to that, I don't, I'd hate to be that delusional and cringe-making. Eddie LV, she thinks she is a very important person. King's End 1950, this is all becoming ridiculous now. Can we just forget she exists, as every day there is another story from someone who wanted to be out of the public eye? I see. Never mind, she's got more truth bombs up her sleeves, so getting just the one thing wrong, collateral damage. Scobie will come up with a rescue rewrite of history. Sarah Jane, Harry, have a word with the missus, will you? She's an embarrassment to you. Tricky Ricky 77, she doesn't know what's truth and what's fiction anymore. Amanda 82, wasn't that the same premiere where Harry was filmed and recorded trying to promote Harry's wife as being available for voiceovers to director? Harry's wife stood nearby, pretending to be unaware of the conversation. Lucy, it's such a relief that finally, at long last, people in the media are questioning Harry's wife's various stories. She's got away with saying whatever she wants for far too long. Busy girl, caught you out there, good and proper, Harry's wife. Old Rick 624, surely she can't have misremembered something as important as this, unless she just made it up. Wonder why. Bravo, sir, for not letting this clothes horse hijack your cause, struggling heroes in the world opinion. Finally, the rest of the world is opening their eyes. She's a piece of work. Tripe for tea. Harry's wife tries to portray herself as some kind of champion of the underdog, but she couldn't be further from the truth. She's never really had to suffer in her entire life, and currently is doing nothing to help anyone in real distress. Rather, she hopes to shoot arrows into the heart of our country, because actually we are making ourselves an easy target for wannabes like her. Too many people are being indoctrinated to forget the real good we did in the world. And on it goes. Comment after comment after comment. Ridiculing her, laughing at her error, and once again she's been exposed. Her limited narcissism causes her to tell these lies in order to pursue the prime aims, and she gets caught out once again. Sugars, you really do need to start waking up and realizing that your queen is nothing more than a deluded, lying narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.